Hey there, welcome to Headflyer Brewing. Welcome to the John Krawczynski Show. A couple thank yous to start off. Oh, actually, a lot of thank yous. First one, Headflyer Brewing has been great to us. Thanks so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for having us once again. Thanks for being the host of this show and making it so much fun. We really appreciate it. We love your business, and we wish you the best in the future here. Another thank you to John for putting this all together. Thank you to the Timberwolves. As I always say, Micah doesn't have to be here. This is not an obligation. This is not part of his job. He's doing this out of the goodness of his heart. Thank you to...
Because he wants a head coaching job. That's what he's doing.
Great. Now we're going to get him a head coaching job in the next hour. Well, we can do that. We have that power. We'll work on it. So thank you to the Timberwolves. Thank you to Aaron Freeman and Tony Adams, who are here with Micah. And thank you, of course, to Micah. We're going to we're going to deal with our ads and all that other stuff later. We have Micah for a short time. We're going to get right to it. Micah, what are your plans for kneecapping Finchy so you can coach some more playoff games?
Yeah, I think need to see what our matchup looks like first and make sure that we got quite a sizable lead before I do that like we did in Phoenix.
Micah, thanks for coming out tonight. Just like as you kind of think about this season and how it's gone so far and to where you guys are at right now, like just what are your overall thoughts on this team and as the playoffs are right around the corner here now?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it started off the year pretty good, obviously. And then I think this season has been a little bit different than the previous few in that we coming back in with the same roster, essentially. I know Nikhil left, but, after we went to the first Western Conference Final with Karl Anthony Towns, then we brought in Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. And then even last year with the injury to Julius, and missing him for quite a bit. And then we had to finish super strong, going 17-4 to put ourselves in that position to get out of the play-in. And now you sit there, and it's kind of been up and down. There's been a few winning streaks, losing streaks, obviously, and you just feel like every morning when you wake up, you don't know if you're in sixth or third, it seems like, because it's such with the 4-team race right there. So I think the one thing that's great for all of us and our staff as well and all of you, it's been playing meaningful basketball for the last 4 years, and all these games really, really matter, obviously. And whether we're third, fourth, fifth, or sixth, I think being out of that play-in, knowing that we're going to most likely be in that, it's going to be Houston, Denver, or the Lakers, and it all comes down to matchups, essentially. Regardless of the seed, it's just how we match up. You saw us against Houston, obviously, last night. Thank goodness we won that. There's no way I would have been up on this stage. I'm kidding. But so I think the way that it's a little bit different is knowing what we've gone through the last couple of years prepares our group and prepares us kind of for what we have to do these last 9 games, and then heading into the week of prep before the playoffs, which is huge.
The last time we were here as a live show at Headflyer was in December after the Oklahoma City game. Finchy got tossed and then came and did his appearance here. And I was hoping kind of as that game was going on, maybe you were going to get tossed from the bench there, and that we might have a little bit more spice coming into this one.
Yeah, for sure. It's been, we all watch the last game. We all see 2-minute reports and all that, but it's been quite the run.
This is a whole crowd that is packed in to see you and want to hear from you. What's it been like for you to get involved in this community? Been here for the last 4 years now, and you're a star here. Like you're the backup quarterback, but people seem to love you around here.
Yeah, that's always the best role, right? Thank you. I will say, most of my time was spent in the East in Toronto the first 15 years before I was in Denver and Sacramento for about a total of 5. And the reason I say that is when I would come with Toronto, it was usually you would come one time, obviously, because, being in the East, and we were staying at the, what is now, the Loft or whatever, the Lowe's, and it was the middle of winter, and so you'd rarely just go across the skywalk and didn't get out and about. But now, having been up here for the better part of almost 5 years, obviously the summers are awesome, but realizing that the lakes and everything that's 15 minutes away, you feel like you can either have the big city or you feel like you're in the middle of somewhat of an oasis and all that. So I've truly enjoyed Minnesota. The one thing I do love is that it's a sports town. Regardless, we get over to the Twins games, obviously the Vikings, and just the way that the crowd shows out and shows up every single time throughout the playoffs and even the regular season. It really does help us. So I've grown to love this community. My wife and daughter, my son, when they can come up, they had to finish up school in Michigan area, but when they come up, they don't want to leave either. So.
You getting recognized a lot around town, and just like if you're out and about and Wolves fans coming up to you and chatting with you and stuff?
It's fun. It's actually cool. I asked to take pictures. Hey, you want to take a picture? Because people are so genuinely nice and just it's not bothersome. It's just always even if it's just a continue to walk and just a hey, go Wolves or whatever it is. So it's awesome. You see all the people wearing Wolves gear and everything like that, and it feels more to me almost. I know Minnesota is right across, but it's almost like a college type atmosphere with just the way that people are fans and all in on the team for sure.
I'm here to ask the hard-hitting questions. So brace yourself. How much pressure is there when you have to act with Oscar award-winning Steve Terry?
Steve what?
Steve Terry.
Oh,
TSR.
Oh, yes. Well, he steals the show, which is good. He just kind of tells me what to do. And I said, wow, the budget must have been cut drastically if you had to go from Nas Reed to me. But thankfully, he's always, hey, if you need anything law-wise, let me know. So thankfully, I haven't had to call him on that regard yet. So
the night shine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Micah, this team over the last couple of years has developed kind of a pattern where it does seem like as the playoffs approach is when you start to lock in and kind of figure out rotations, figure out, kind of game plan and everything. How do you feel this team is on that timeline in terms of trying to play the best basketball as the playoffs approach here?
Yeah, I think that from day one, the very first meeting that we had, training camp-wise, and we all get together, Coach Finch goes through a meeting and slideshows and all this, and he may have hit on this, but the very first thing he said is we can't get bored with the regular season, meaning you've been to 2 Western Conference finals. Yes, we all want to get into this time of year and into the playoffs, and you just can't skip through because you can't skip steps. Otherwise, kind of what happens, you find yourself fighting for home court. I'm not saying that we've skipped those steps, but as you get closer and guys see the light at the end of the tunnel, see that there's, single-digit games remaining, it's just everybody's attention to detail, getting amped up like it's a rebirth to be excited for the playoffs. So, yes, they get locked back in. And I think the way that we're playing, even with having Ant out, you see guys still in their roles, everybody kind of stepping up. They kind of know what their rotation minutes are going to be. And so, yes, this group, I think, is right in line with the last 2. And then obviously the playoffs, anything can happen. It's very much matchup driven and how that all goes. But I think as far as where we are and how this has all played out, I think a lot of teams are saying that, but I feel we're right where we need to be as from a preparation standpoint.
One along those lines, one thing that struck me after the Houston game was talking to Julius Randle, and he was just saying that this is the time of year that I look forward to the most, that I'm locking in a little bit more. And he went through his struggles right around the trade deadline or so, but it seems like at least defensive effort, kind of focus on attention to detail, like making plays, it seems like he's coming around to that. What have you seen, and how big is that for this team's fortunes when he is all the way locked in?
Yeah, I think the one thing that you see when you look at our ball club, I mean, defensively, that Rudy's kind of the anchor of everything we're doing. Obviously, Jaden on the perimeter, the anchor on the perimeter there. Ant offensively is going to do what he does. But Julius, to me, is the biggest barometer. I think Coach Finch will even say this. When Julius is playing how we need him to play, which is essentially another handler, we kind of start with a group that really no Mike Conley, so we really don't have a true point guard. So it's kind of Ant, Dante, Julius, and Julius may even be the one that handles the ball the most, or we need handling the most in those regards. And when he gets everybody else involved and we're playing through him and the ball's moving around, it really helps us. So if you look at our box scores, if Julius Randle's close to a triple-double, more than likely we probably won the basketball game. So he's probably the key for us all the way around, just because you kind of know what you're going to get from Rudy on the defensive end, Ant on the offensive end, and then everything else. Nas is going to come in. He's going to make some threes. Dante's going to start and play. So Julius, to me, when he has a stinker of a game, if you will, even statistically, we usually lose those games.
You are the associate head coach, lead assistant. How would you describe your kind of role in game as a game is going on, and how much of it is just making sure Finchy doesn't get thrown out of it, or trying to get him thrown out so you get your time?
I was like, Finchy, did you see what he just said? But it's kind of, I guess, more so, I guess the best way to think of it, again, pulling on a baseball background, it'd be like a bench coach. And so Pablo does a great job. He's in charge of our offense. Elston Turner's in charge of our defense. And what Finch has kind of told me to do is almost think and act like a head coach, meaning, substitution-wise, or, hey, what do you see here on both sides of the ball, that type of thing. Also, calming guys down, if you will, and just saying this is what they're trying to do during timeouts and being a facilitator in that regard. Rotation-wise, just, hey, listen, they're small. Do we want to go small? Do you want to stay big? Mike's had a long run. Joyce has had a long run. Rudy's got 3-4 fouls. Maybe if we go this or matchup-wise. And I think a lot of that is so it's kind of like a bench coach in baseball where you're pretty much not in total charge of the defense, obviously, not in charge of the offense. We have guys that focus on that, and mine is just kind of like a second, if you will, head coach and try to facilitate in that manner.
How receptive, or what's the kind of conversation with Finch during it? I mean, he seems to trust you quite a bit. Is it a lot of times, yes, Micah, you're right, or is it, no, I got this?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both. Usually when it works out well, he's listening. No, I'm kidding.
Not really, though.
Yeah, but he's great. We've been together. I mean, I've known Finchy since our Denver days, and obviously we've been friends off of the court. So it's just like if you guys, nothing's taken personal. Mm-hmm. So it's just, he's like, yeah, or no, I don't want to do that, or this and that. But he's always very receptive, and he would rather me suggest something, or any of us suggest something, and him not want to do it rather than not say anything, which is probably the worst. And so it's worked out very, very well in that sense. That and the other thing that helps is we do have similar philosophical minds on how we see things, and just being around the team as much as you have, you can see things. So in that regard, yeah, I would say 50-50, and sometimes, but it's never shut the hell up or this or that. It's just like, I think we'll just go this way, which is fine.
When you look at your kind of pathway to this spot, starting as a baseball guy, kind of working your way up through, how would you describe just the journey that it's taken to get you to this point where, I think you're on the brink of getting a head coaching job somewhere. You're starting to get interviews, starting to really be in the conversations that way, but getting from where you were back when you started to here now?
Yeah, I think the one thing great about my journey is, number one, I've had a lot of great people look out for me. And what I mean by that is just, I think I worked in Toronto with 6 different head coaches, 3 different general managers. I've worked with 15 different head coaches, and knock on wood, I've never been fired in the NBA. I've moved, but I haven't been fired yet. That's coming, I'm sure. Yeah. But so just been fortunate in that regard. But the other thing is, I started as essentially an intern. Then I was kind of in the video room, then doing some advanced scouting. So I've gone through every layer of coaching in the NBA. And so I understand what each step and each person is going through, so you can relate to them well. And bottom line, I used to think it was all X's and O's and we need to do this, but I think as you find out, whether it's sports or whatever anyone is doing, it's people, and how do you deal with people, relationships, and like we talked about at the very beginning, not skipping steps to get to the playoffs and wishing away the regular season, but trying to get NBA players to lock in and play and compete every game, knowing that they're just like us. They have issues going on in their personal lives and may not feel like this or that, but the more that they know that you care about them, the more they know that you're on their side, the more you're trying to help them, putting them in a position to not only win, but just be successful in general. I think that's the biggest thing, and I've had lots of people through my journey look out for me and take care of me.
And you've also been around a lot of stars. T-Mac, Vince Carter, Nicola, Ant, Cat, a lot of people. Every time I go and see you kind of get in front of one of those former players, they all really enjoy talking to you. And what do you think, what's been the key for you in terms of being a coach with the stars of the league? And they are a whole nother kind of type of being, they're an industry in themselves. How do you connect with them and kind of build trust?
I don't know. I think the biggest thing, John, the fact that, and I mean this in sincerity, I'm not afraid to laugh at myself. I don't have a lot of ego. I like to find out more about them as people, and it's not just in a manner to try to get to know them so that they'll listen, but genuinely have an interest in them and genuinely care about seeing them do well. And especially when the Vince Carters, the Nikola Jokic's, I was with them from their rookie year, and so when they really didn't know a whole lot, and then as you go through, I still get text messages from Nikola. I was his first summer league coach. and I didn't run one play for him. I didn't know who he was.
Yeah.
We had, and to this day, every once in a while, about once every 2 months, he'll send me a GIF of Forrest Gump doing the sprint cross country. He said this was me in that first summer league when I was just running 94 feet back and forth. But I think at the end of the day, it's just knowing them as people, caring about them, not just when they score 20, when they have 10 rebounds, but hey, texting them or calling them when they do have a stinker or when they haven't played, as rookies 3-4 games, or they feel that their minutes are, and but just a genuine, like I said, it's all dealing with people at the end of the day. And then the more that you build up equity, the more they know you care, then the more they will let you coach them and you can get on them a little bit. And then they know, again, it's not personal, it's coaching, it's not criticism. And I think that across everything, that's the way it's kind of helped me.
Is it true that you and Nikola have a bobblehead together?
Yeah, and Finch is trying to get it.
He said you might have stole it from him. It's one of my sources.
It's the only gift I've ever seen where they give you the gift and then they want it back to display. So no, yeah. And so I've got a bobble. They got a bobblehead because they always give me crap because they always think when we play Denver that I hope he gets a triple double and we win or whatever it may be. But Nikola's won a lot of games in the past when I was on that staff, and believe me, I want to beat Nikola just like all of you every time we play him. But he's a good guy.
Where does Anthony kind of fit into that star kind of experience and like how, what you've gotten to know from him over the years?
When something goes wrong at home, Aquarius Home Services makes the solution easy with one call to one team and no hassle to find a different handyman or company for each type of job. Aquarius has experts in heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. That means you get the right expert every time and solutions you can trust. Right now, enjoy $98 off any heating, cooling, plumbing, or electrical repair. Aquarius, one call, problem solved. Earning the right to be recommended. Schedule today at aquariushomeservices.com.
Also want to let you know we are brought to you by Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. If you're in the market for a new luxury vehicle, look no further than our good friend Charlie Swanson at Lexus. Whether you're on the west or the east side of the Twin Cities, they've got you covered with two great locations, Lexus of Wayzata and Lexus of Maplewood. Check out the all-new Lexus TX, a spacious SUV with 3 rows of seating and plenty of room for all your gear. Head over to lexusofwayzata.com or lexusofmaplewood.com for details and to find your next ride today.
Thanks. We also want to thank TSR Injury Law, one of our first sponsors, Steve Terry and the gang over there. If you want a higher level of representation, if you want to get to know the people who get to do all the cool commercials, actually that's too light. The reality is if you call them, you're going to need some serious help, and they will give you serious help. Call 612-TSR-TIME, 612-TSR-TIME. They're the best in the business. That's why they are such a great Minnesota success story. That's why they've gotten to a point where they can go hang out with the Wolves and do commercials. So 612-TSR-TIME is all you need to remember.
Where does Anthony kind of fit into that star kind of experience and like how, what you've gotten to know from him over the years?
I think that Anthony Edwards, of all the guys that I've coached, meaning like the Vince Carters, the Tracy McGrays, and that's kind of Nikola and DeMarcus are different in that regard, but Anthony can do, from an athletic standpoint and from a ability to do almost anything on a basketball court, he can. The other thing, too, that Anthony has that those other stars have as well, even more so, is he's not afraid of big moments. And I think we found that out the very first Memphis playoff game that he played. Remember when when he had 40 down there. And so, and you've all seen it, like he's not afraid. Not everybody wants to take the last shot. They can say they do and all this, but his ability to be clutch, to make plays, and in the big moments to perform is a knack that these superstars, when you put them in that category, that they have. And I think the other thing that Anthony has done is when he came into the league, everyone, and I wasn't on his team, I was playing against him, was, hey, let's go under everything, let's make him shoot, let's do this. And he has taken all of these weaknesses or perceived weaknesses, and he's added to his game to turn those weaknesses into strengths. And then the last thing I will say is your best players, if your best players are your hardest workers, then you're cooking with gas. And what I mean by that is if a lot of these guys, talented, can get by on, but when they're in the gym shooting, when no one else is around, and you come in on the NOAA, they've got a digital screen that takes care of everything, and you look at shots attempted for the month, and when Anthony Edwards has the most, or top 2 or 3, in that list, then that's just showing that he is working at his craft. He is trying to get better. He's not satisfied. And the best thing about Anthony is you guys have all, he is who he is. He's not changing for anybody. There's nothing fake about him. And he enjoys playing basketball. And he is a one heck of a competitor. And that is something to be said.
In the Clipper game, in Los Angeles, he hits the big shot down the stretch. And I think a lot of people then looked at the interaction he had with Finchy and want to know more about what the relationship is there in terms of he was real competitive and heated at that moment. And I think that fans can watch that and say, oh my gosh, there's some tension there or something, but you've had front row seat the whole way through. How do you see Finchy and Ant, kind of the way they communicate, the way they bring out the best in each other?
Yeah, I think the two things. One, Ant's about as coachable as they get. If you're in one of our film sessions, you would think that Anthony Edwards is a first-year rookie player the way that Coach Finch coaches him. And it's not, and it's fair coaching, but, I've been around staffs, which is fine, where star player, if you're the star player and you mess up, and I'm over here, they're like, well, Micah, why didn't you help? Avoiding you. Yeah. But that's not Finch's at all. The other thing is, we go back to relationships and having a relationship off the floor with these guys to build up that equity. So we're with these guys more than we are with our families. So you guys all fight with your families. You ground your kids. You got to spank your kids. Doesn't mean you don't love them. There were many nights I mumbled underneath my breath at my mom and dad. But so I think that just gets caught on camera in that moment. They're both competitive. Finchy told him pass the ball. In that moment, Ant said, you don't want me to pass the ball? So Ant was right there. Now maybe there's other times that he wasn't. So, and then what's great is in the locker room, it's over. Mm-hmm. It literally, I'm not just saying that to be saying that. It is genuinely over with. It is just a moment that it gets on Twitter, it gets replayed, and everybody's like, oh, look at this, there's issues. But it's nothing that doesn't happen within your family.
Mm-hmm. Now you have Ayo and Bones coming off the bench. You have the ability to play fast. I know Finch has always talked about wanting to play fast, but it didn't always work out. How does that change the dynamic for your team?
I think it changes it a lot. I think because when you look at the way Anthony plays more so and the way Julius plays, like we talked about, it's more of a slow down half-court game, that's what's going to happen to the game in the playoffs. But when you have Bones and Ayo come off and they're playing north and south and getting downhill, all that does is get us better. The best way to score is in transition. But when we can get out and run, and I think the one thing that Ayo and Bones both have, especially Ayo, is an uncanny ability to go full speed, get all the way in the paint, and then be able to finish with some touch and that type of thing. So that's an added aspect of our game that we did not have before we had Ayo. And so what it does is it allows us to play, attack, and win in different types of systems rather than just come down half court, post up Julius, ISO, or pick and roll with Ant. But now you can get out and play downhill. And when you can play like that and don't have to rely on that half court, it's huge what Ayo and Bones have done for us.
And Micah, those two guys also, this is a team that is either kind of quiet or just maybe can go in the dumps when things are not going well. Those guys both look like positive, bubbly, outsized guys. And their personalities, how do you see that mixing in and helping the group in general, just from a mindset standpoint? Yeah,
I think the one thing with Ayo, when he came in, especially right there at the trade deadline, and already have somewhat of an established team, and he's new. I think the best thing for him was when I think a lot of us saw it in the post-game locker room when he and Ant were giving each other crap about Chicago, this and that. So he doesn't take a back seat in a good way. He doesn't just continue to defer to Anthony Edwards and all this. And when he comes in, and that's one thing that Coach Finch told him is be yourself. And when you play like he does downhill and you really don't need play calls for you, it makes it a heck of a lot easier for you to fit in. And just to your point as well, great kid, wants to win. And I think that he's excited to be a part of what we have going forward with an opportunity coming from Chicago to win in the playoffs.
Looking back on that Phoenix Game 5, Micah, when Finchy's knee blows up, can you just take everyone through the immediate taking over and then the right aftermath of figuring out exactly what the hell happened? And winning a historic game for this franchise. It'd been 20 years since they had won a playoff series.
Yeah, I could remember clear as day because Finchy was – first I give Finchy crap because I said a better athlete would have avoided it a little more. But when he went down, the very first thing you're thinking is, oh, crap, as a friend, as a priest, like, I hope he's okay. First, he was hoping that Mike was okay.
Yeah, right,
but,
right.
And then so we're checking on him, and you see in his face, I'd say that he was whimpering. He wasn't. I just tell him that. But you could tell he was hurt. And then you're sitting there thinking, like, for lack of a better term, oh, shit, he's going to be out. And so you have the clipboard. And then it's kind of quickly back into, all right, what's the situation? I think that thankfully we had a little bit of a lead. There was 3 minutes, and we were able to, melt that one away. The biggest thing that, I know you all realize this because you're all Wolves fans, but the biggest thing when I tell people that was it was the last game of that series. Mm-hmm. So then we had about 4 days to get ready for Denver. So my point is, if we would have had to get ready for Phoenix the next day, I'm not saying it wouldn't have gone well. I'm hoping that it would have, but just being able for all of us to catch our breath, assess that, all right, this is what's going to happen. Finchie's going to be behind the bench or not there at the first practice or two with the surgery. So obviously the emotions are, is your friend okay? Mm-hmm. And then, all right, we need to win this basketball game. Thankfully, won that one, so we didn't have to come back the next, have a day, prepare. Everybody's worried about Finchie, and then, who knows what would have happened. But that 3 or 4 day break really helped us going into the Denver series.
You tell them every once in a while, hey, just take your time getting back. I'm all right here. I've got this.
Yeah, what I would do is said that I'd just start moving further down towards midcourt so I couldn't hear him.
Take us through, one thing. The media room in Target Center is right by where the players and the coaches go by to get to the court. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we'll be sitting in there and we'll see you guys with the lineup and the cheering. Will you take everybody through what's happening there?
Yeah, so basically nowadays in the NBA, it feels like you have 16 coaches, so it's quite the lineup. So there's 8 on either side with about 3 minutes to go. Nate Bubis, who is Finchie's essentially right-hand man, assistant coach as well, and he kind of keeps us all organized. He goes and knocks on Finchie's door in the office and says, all right, it's time to go. So it's kind of a gauntlet, and what it turned from was, just kind of a fist bump getting Finchie ready to go, a little bit of excitement, to now it's just how hard you can smack Nate Bubis on his ass. And the best is because he's one of those guys, he's trying to act like the iPad works and doesn't want to flinch or anything. So if you get him good, it's funny because I'm at the front of that line, so I get to see the gauntlet he goes through. But that's kind of what it is. Like we just talked about, 82 of these, it gets a little bit monotonous. And if you don't find a way to have fun, to enjoy it, and to get yourself going a little bit, so it's that's what that is.
Another story along those lines, Micah, that I like, Jeff Newton is the replay review guy, and maybe he had a couple of big calls that went his way, and I think someone affixed some big blue testicles to his car, and maybe would you know anything about that and what happened there?
So, God bless Newton. Much better at the officiating than he did at the Iowa Wolves head coach. I let him know that all the time, jokingly. But Newt's great. He's probably, in all honesty, he's as good as there is. The numbers show, he is great. But we went a few games about last year, maybe like 5 or 6 games where he would not pull the trigger. So I found or happened to find online. Happened to some big blue testicles and put it on the back of his car unbeknownst to him. And so we put those on trying to get him back in the game. And then we did a poster with some of us that are older. Remember Top Gun movie when Maverick was flying, they told him we need him to engage. Yes. So we did a poster with Newton, Finchie telling him, engage, Newt, engage. But he's really, really good.
Well, and the thing about, you guys can do that because, the whole staff has been together for a while now, it feels like. That's not a common thing in the NBA. There's lots of turnover that happens. What is that kind of connectivity and that sustainability meant to you guys as a group, just to be able to navigate an entire season?
Yeah, I think it's been great. And I'm sure just like you guys at your workplace or wherever you are, when you can laugh and you can laugh at yourself, more importantly, and no one gets too offended or takes themselves too seriously, And the other thing that we can do, which is great, is coaches' meetings. There's a lot of guys, but, Finchie runs it. We're very, very organized. You can crack a joke, but you don't get off track. It's say something, it's laugh, it's get right back to work. But the fact that we've had a group that stuck together through this time. The continuity's been phenomenal. But not only that, but just the quality of people. And I think that, Tim Conley with his group and Finchy with his group, they've done a great job of hiring just good people and good basketball coaches.
You've been in the mix for some head coaches jobs lately. What's that experience been like of interviewing for that? And do you see yourself or hoping to eventually get one of those opportunities?
Yeah, I think the one thing, like anything, like whether it's a player that plays in the playoffs, I mean, I'm essentially the same guy. I'm not saying yes, I have more experience, but winning helps all of that. Yeah. I think when you go to 2 Western Conference Finals, Finchy getting hurt, and then, let's say what it is. The Denver game, we're down 20, and then I didn't do anything but just cheer like everybody else. If it happens, it happens. The one thing I do know is having been in this league for 28 years, if you said to me, hey, Micah, you're going to be an assistant coach and you're going to be a lead assistant, and that's the furthest you'll go, and especially, like you say, in a franchise, in a group, and place here like Minnesota, I'd be fine. So if it happens, absolutely. It'd be fun to see if you can call your own timeouts and see how that goes. And in all honesty, just as a competitor you are. But I think that
timeouts is a little sensitive around here.
I know.
So just be careful.
Hey, I'm with you. Can't take them with you, right?
Yeah.
But no. So I think if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I think the going through the as far as like the interviews and all that have been very, very interesting. And I think the one thing that you do realize is it's not just about X's, O's like we were saying either. It is about being more of trying to get guys to play, bringing a staff together, being more of almost like a CEO and all of that, rather than just, hey, what do I need to run in this play to get a bucket?
Our time with Micah is almost over. We'll get some applause from here in a second as we ask the last couple of questions. Tell us something about Finchy that we might not know.
Okay.
And also that might not get you fired.
I got to keep. One, his mom was a Rockette.
Mm-hmm.
2, he left to go overseas, I think, or go to college, but he literally lived down the hill from Taylor Swift's Christmas Tree Farm, where he grew up. So that's 2. And he owns 3 boats.
3 boats.
3 boats. He's got 1 up here, and he's got 2 down in Florida. So he's an avid boater.
That's why you need to be a head coach. You can have 3 boats.
There you go.
Lastly, before we wrap up, just what was it like watching Dante do what he did in the World Baseball Classic, and just like the experience of that and how well he played and seeing him come up the ranks the way?
It's much more nerve-wracking than anything going on with the Wolves when you're coaching, or anything when we all played, as you all know, with children, regardless if they're in dance recitals, if they're at an art or band or whatever it may be. Going to watch your child perform is a heck of a lot more nerve-wracking, especially in that type of stage. And I was proud of how he handled it, and then the fact that he did well and that Italy did well was just icing on the cake. But what a great experience for him. But much more nerve-wracking when you have absolutely no control. But it was fun.
When he gets a hold of one and it goes over the fence, like, I can't even imagine. Like, my daughter hit a game-winning 3 in 4th grade, and I went out onto the court before the game was over and lifted her up. Like, I can't imagine what it's like for you watching.
We were just shocked because I think he hit 4 last year in 160 games, and he hits 2 in one game. We're like, what? And Freeman said he hit another one. I said, my son hit another one? Because it was during one of our games. But at any rate, it was quite the experience for him.
Awesome. Well, hey, everyone, thanks Mike and Nori for coming in. Really appreciate you taking the time. We are going to take a quick break so you can get some beers and re-up, and then we'll come back and have another segment here about 10-15 minutes. So thanks, Micah.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you all.
First, I'm going to tell you about True Vision Institute in Bloomington. If you're watching this on our YouTube channel, you do see no more glasses. I still haven't updated my avatar on Twitter, and so I still have the glasses on Twitter, but that's just laziness on my part, because I haven't worn glasses for almost 2 years now, and it has been so great. You go to truevision.com and set up your free consultation. They will take you through all the steps that you need to find the right vision correction methods for you. I got LASIK surgery. It was so much easier than I ever thought it would be. Literally on the day you go in, you are in and out of the room in like 5 minutes. That's just how long it takes to get the the procedure done on both eyes. You go home, you rest for a little bit, and when you wake up, you're seeing clearly, just brilliantly and easily. And it's all thanks to the good folks at True Vision. So go to truevision.com, set up your free consultation, and get in there and just start living your life. You will be kicking yourself because you didn't do it 10 years ago. I'm sure doing the same thing for me. So go to truevision.com, set it up, tell them the John Krawczynski Show sent you.
At Royal Credit Union, we believe in banking with purpose. That's why we're here for you and your community with people-first service, local support, and all the accounts and loans you need to help reach your financial goals. As a not-for-profit cooperative, everything we do benefits the people and communities we serve. Because Royal isn't just where you bank, it's where you belong. Experience the Royal Credit Union difference and learn more at rcu.org/royal support. Insured by NCUA. Loans subject to credit approval. Equal credit opportunity.
First, want to tell you about sglambchops.com. Use the promo code JONK20 for 20% off anything you get at Lamb Chops. You know by now what Lamb Chops brings to the table. Some of the best, most comfortable, highest quality streetwear and casual wear in the business. You can find it all over Target Center on Wolves fans. You see Jordan and Craig courtside for Wolves games and Lynx games. They are really kind of supporters of this community of basketball around here. And go to Lamb Chops, go to sglambchops.com. You'll get hoodies, t-shirts, hats, everything that you could want to look good on a Friday night in the North Loop, to be comfortable lounging around your house watching games, watching NCAA tournament games on the weekend. It's sglambchops.com, promo code JONK20 for 20% off anything that you get at Lamb Chops.
Welcome back. Thanks again to Micah and Nori. He was a blast. I knew he would be. Thanks to John for setting that up and the Timberwolves for making it all happen. We're going to talk some Headflyer Brewing. We're going to talk a little Wolves. We're going to ask for some fan questions. The mic is right here. You can line up whenever you want for the second half of the show. Then at the end of the show, we have some giveaways. I'll let John handle all that. Let's take care of the business. Then we'll talk about Headflyer Brewings. We are officially coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services studio. Of course, we're here at Headflyer Brewing, our home for live shows. We want to thank Lexus, Wayzata, and Maplewood. I want to thank TSR Injury Law, of course, of Steve Terry fame, True Vision Institute, Royal Credit Union, Princeton's Liquors, and, as you can tell, sglambchops.com. We're both wearing sglambchops.com gear tonight. Next time, I think I'll try to see if they have an adult size, but we'll get through it.
They fit me just great. I don't know what the problem is. But.
Also, we have our Talk North. Listen, I want to thank a couple people because we started Talk North a long time ago as a very small enterprise, basically one or two or three people. And we recently hired a vice president of business development. She's here with us tonight, Tammy Henderson. So give Tammy a hand. She's going to be great for us as we grow this thing. Also, my wife's here, and I would not have started the business without her advice and support. So thank you to my wife as well.
So no, I have to thank my wife, or else I'm not even going to get a ride home.
You absolutely do.
Thank you, Gretchen, for all of your support.
All right. Now is Samantha around? Let's have Samantha pop up here, talk about Headflyer, and then we'll talk some Wolves.
Samantha, this is a bittersweet night. I know. We've had so much fun at Headflyer over the years. The good news is that Dangerous Man is coming in, and I think that there will be some things to talk about later on for that. But just we can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us and for all the partnership that we've had. And I know you have a few things to announce maybe for tomorrow, and we'll just give you the floor. But thank you so much for all that you've done for us over the years.
I mean, thank you to you, too, John. We've absolutely loved this partnership and being a place where people can go to watch the Wolves. So this has been a great few years of our partnership and a very bittersweet ending. But glad to have you do one last show tonight. Yeah.
And we do have, we have Lamb Chops beer collaboration, correct?
We do. We have our beer with SG Lamb Chops Must Be Jelly coming out tomorrow. The release happy hour is going to be 2 to 4, followed by the Wolves watch party when we watch us beat the Pistons at 4:30.
Yes.
So if you want to come try that, and they'll also have some exclusive Headflyer and Lamb Chops merch that we'll be releasing for pre-order tomorrow.
Fantastic. Well, Lamb Chops makes great gear. Headflyer makes great beer. Man, that sounds good. It's like I should write.
Yeah,
for
it's a
living
great
or something.
time. Come tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, Samantha, for
Thank you,
everything.
John.
We really appreciate it. Wish you all the best going forward here. So.
Thanks so much.
Yep.
Round of applause for Samantha. Thank you so much. We do appreciate everything. All right, Johnny, a couple of weeks ago we were talking, might have been a month ago, we were talking about the West, and I was like, I would, no matter how the regular season is gone, I'd take them to beat everybody in the West with the exception of Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. Things might be changing.
They have a little bit. The Lakers all of a sudden look really good. The Spurs look great. It's going to be a real challenge no matter what happens. I think like after watching Wednesday night, the Wolves should beg and plead for Houston to land in their matchup, because I think that would be 4-1 and we're moving on to the next one. But you look at Denver, you look at the Lakers, like either one of those would be challenges. But I also do believe that this team can absolutely beat either one of those teams and then give whoever they get in the second round a real, haymaker. That's just the way that they're built. You can kind of feel. I was talking to Julius Randle after the game in the kind of walking to his car. And look, you all have kind of been through it with Julius. You see the ups and the downs with him. But the way that he spoke about how he is starting to feel the energy and kind of the need to really lock in, especially defensively, if he does that, this team can beat the Lakers. They can beat the Spurs. They might be able to beat the Thunder. Like, I really believe that. But that's going to be a big question mark, and we'll see how Ant comes back. But a lot of the things that I've seen from the way this team is playing defense, the way that they're finding a little bit of rhythm without Ant, I think will help them going forward.
I still like him beat the Lakers.
I do too. They're too athletic. I mean, Luka can win a series all by himself, but I do think that the Wolves athletes will prevail over the length of a series with the Lakers, much like they did in the first round last year. And I mean, I do think that being able to just take a break from the regular season and have a week to prepare, and really you take Ant, you take Jaden, you take Naz, you take all these guys, Bones, and everyone, you say, hey, this is exactly what needs to be done to beat this team. The last 2 years, they've come out in the first round flying. And I think that's very possible. Of course, Luka will win a game or two by himself, probably. But over the length of a series, you just got to win. You just got to go 4-3, and I think they can do that and make things happen that way.
What's been fascinating about this team is we're always talking about the changes. Tim Connolly has been very active, mm-hmm. and this year, I think the interesting changes are. Now, Jaden's knee hurts right now, but I don't think it's that serious. Jaden McDaniels is a better player now than he was a year ago.
Yeah,
and Io and Bones. Io certainly. Bones, if he keeps playing this way, they allow them, as we were talking about with Micah, they allow this team to play differently than they've ever played before.
Yeah, they do. And what I think that works out so well for them with those guys is both of them are ultra aggressive. Like, there's no hesitancy at all. It doesn't matter if they were 1 for 8 or if they're 9 for 11. But it's the same with both of them. And when the ball gets in both of their hands and they go, like, it opens up so many easy baskets for them and for everyone else. And when you can have a team that can play slow it down and speed it up, then you have counter punches for whatever is coming at you. Clearly that they have some consistency issues that they will have to work through and make sure that they get locked down. But when you look at 1 through 8 or 9, and you include Kyle Anderson in there and the impact that he has made just from an IQ standpoint, individually talented, like they're as individually talented 1 through 9 as any team in the league. Now it's just a matter of, can they make all of those individual pieces fit in the right way at the right time? And if they do, I mean, they're really, really difficult to beat, but that is the challenge that is ahead of them for this coaching staff and for this roster to kind of click in a way that they really haven't at any sustained level for most of the season.
We will take a few questions at this microphone if
Do
you're
not be
interested.
bashful. Come on up.
And you don't have to, but if you want to, I would line up now. We'll fit you in when we get a chance. Mm-hmm. So Mike was talking about Julius. We all know the deal with Julius. He seems like a good dude. He's a really good offensive player. he also can seem to get into a mood or a funk.
Yeah.
Where do you think he is right now, and how confident are you that he'll play in the playoffs the way they need him to play?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was definitely concerned about him for several weeks around the trade deadline and even coming out of it afterward. You just saw, like, not only was he a little bit sullen, but, like, that was translating over to the defensive effort.
Yeah.
And that was what was really preventing the Timberwolves from kind of getting any sort of momentum going in the right direction. Like, full transparency, Julius is one of my favorite people I've covered. Like, he is a great dude. He is a great father. Like, just a really thoughtful guy. But he wears all of his emotions on his sleeve. And so when his emotions are down, they really permeate the rest of the group. And I do think that that does have a detrimental effect at times. But when he is locked in and when he's feeling up, that also permeates throughout the group. And I have, in the discussion that I had with him after the Houston game, I have never heard him sort of as hopeful and as energetic as he was. That does not guarantee that he's going to be great the rest of the way, but I think that gives Wolves fans and the Timberwolves in general as much hope as you could possibly have that he is locked in, because when he is that way, he is a bully around the rim. He is a playmaker and a great passer, and we have seen him individually, defensively, stand in front of dudes, and you cannot move him. And when he has that going for him, then that's what you see. The last 5 games, they're 100.3 points per possessions defensively, which is unbelievably good. And so if he gives you that effort, they are a different team. And right now he's giving it. We'll see if that sustains over the long haul.
Yes.
Hi, John. Hi, Jim.
Hello.
So I know that 2 years ago we were really leaning into our defensive identity, and this, I guess this last year we were maybe trying to lean more into that offensive identity. So what would you say for a team that's been so, I mean, you just said yourself, like, emotions on their sleeve, hot and cold, streaky. What sort of identity would you think would make us be the most successful in a playoff series this year? Yeah,
no, it's a great question.
Thank you.
And I think we've heard them talk a lot this year about searching for that identity. And, she's exactly right about, you can see, like, with Rudy Gobert, there are sort of like the bones of a defensive team. Like, that's what should happen when you have Rudy, especially playing right now as well as he's playing. He's been terrific defensively. I do think, though, that as much as that team 2 years ago was a clearly elite defensive team, with Nikhil and Kat moving on and Julius and Io replacing them essentially, they have taken a step back defensively. And so I do think that they have to be more adaptable and just have a way of flipping a switch to the offensive side. They have great shooters around Anthony Edwards, and I think you're going to see more so in these playoffs them possibly go smaller with Randall and Nas, Jaden in the front court and try and outscore people. Because when Ant and Dante and Io and Jaden and all those guys are rolling offensively, that seems to be the times where I've looked at it and said, man, this team is really hard to handle. And I think defensively it's going to be a little harder for them to duplicate 2 years ago against OKC, against San Antonio. And so if I were them, I would lean a little more into the offensive side of things.
Step right up.
Ali.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Good to see you.
So there was a lot of hype before the new owners came in, or as the new owners were coming in. Now that A-Rod and Nori are in, is there any truth, or is it just hype around KG coming back and getting involved?
So it's a great question, because they have secured KG as a sort of partner in the marketing side of things. They are going to next season have a jersey retirement ceremony for him. But I think fans expected when they initially unveiled that, hey, the ice has thawed, everything is good. for KG to be a little bit more involved and at least a little more visible around the team, and he has not been. They just did an interview with Michael Grady, and that was really nice. But I do expect that in the playoffs at some point, you're going to see him walk in and sit courtside with Alex and Mark. And when that happens and when he is introduced, I mean, it's like, if you can all be there, like, please go, because the goosebumps are already on my arms about thinking what that is going to be like. But it has been a little bit more kind of stop and start than I expected. But I think once he gets into the building, once he feels the love from the fans, then has his jersey up in the rafters again, I think you're going to see more of him. It's just kind of taking a little time to get off the on-ramp and onto the highway with that.
Good question. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
It seems like Finch is pretty stubborn to mix up the lineup on some of these games that have gone south, especially on the bottom 5 teams. Do you think that's going to hurt them in the playoffs? Do you want Finch to be a little more risky on mixing up the lineup when it's going south?
So like you, I would have loved to see that in the first 3 or 4 months of the season, right? Like, they're playing the second night of a back-to-back against Utah. Throw out your young guys, let them play. And even if you lose that game, at least those guys get real experience, get 25 minutes a night. I think now, though, going forward into the playoffs, one thing that Finch has always leaned on is, I'm going to stick with my guys, even when they're struggling, Julius, Dante, whoever, and that's going to pay off over the long run in the playoffs. And that has proven true over the last couple of seasons, especially last year. A lot of people probably in this room, maybe they are right now too, is like, get off Julius. Like, take him out, put Nas in the starting lineup. And Finch stuck with him the whole way, and then he was one of the best players in the league in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. And so Finch has a stubbornness about him, but he's also just really believes that if I express faith in these guys, they will feel that and then come through for me when I need it. It's a little bit risky, but I think with where they are and the games that they need to win and what they're competing for right now, it's probably the right thing to do, even if Terrence Shannon Jr., Rob Dillingham when he was here, Johan Berenger, kind of their growth is stunted a little bit early. I think there's too much on the line right now for this team to really kind of risk throwing out the young guys at too much of a time. And they have to win as much as they can right now.
Sir.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out.
Yeah,
My
sure,
question today is this. When the Timberwolves lift the Larry O'Brien trophy in June, how are you going to celebrate?
Oh, man.
Right here.
With a lot of these, I will find my way onto one of the floats in the parade some way, somehow. I will be waving at all of you, and I will be talking to all of you about what this means. Like that, I mean, can you even imagine what it would be like for the first team to break through on the men's side, be the Timberwolves, and be going down First Avenue and having that parade? It would be incredible.
Yeah, and it's about time.
It is about time. It's been a long time.
It's been a while. And you know what? Also, and you get this from reading John's stuff and listening to the podcast as well, not all good teams are likable teams, but I really think this is a likable team.
It is.
I mean, I really like Finch. I like his staff. I like the players. I like the support staff. It would, there are teams that you want to win because they're from here. There are teams that you want to win because you actually like them. I think this fits both categories.
Yeah, it would be a remarkable story, and I am not ruling it out. I will say that it's a long shot. They are not going to be the favorites against OKC or San Antonio. It would be an unexpected success, which is always the best one when it comes out of nowhere. Like the euphoria that would be a part of this town, I don't think we'd ever forget it.
Here's the path. They need somebody to knock off San Antonio so they don't have to play San Antonio in the second round. And then, listen, 7 games against Oklahoma City, they would not be favored, but
yeah,
I wouldn't rule out beating them.
I mean, the path is like if they go and they win and then they beat San Antonio because they're too young, and then Denver beats the Lakers, beats OKC in the second round.
Okay, you have a different.
And then you play Denver in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's see it.
Yes, sir.
How y'all doing? You doing good?
Doing great.
We're good.
My question is around the playoffs. We're likely to face like the Lakers or the Nuggets, which we have faced before, and this season we've struggled against them. And if you guys didn't already bring this up, I would feel like, what do we do differently so we don't end up like the regular season?
Yeah, no, it's one thing to think about is I remember 2 years ago when they went into the playoffs against Phoenix in the first round, and they had gotten their brakes beaten off by Phoenix in the regular season, and they have Durant and they have Booker, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, how is this going to work out? And then it was a wipeout. Like, it was so lopsided the other way that they're like, yeah, you know what? This wasn't a really good matchup. You can't really take a whole lot out of it. And so what happens, like, in the interim between the end of the regular season and the start of the playoffs, I think one of the big problems that this team has is, like, focus and maturity and basketball IQ, like, in the regular season. There's too many games. They kind of take it for granted, and they don't really lock in. But in that week, in preparing for whoever they're going to face, they know exactly who they have to play. They know exactly what they have to do, and they come out, and Ant is, like, ultra locked in. The game plan mistakes that you see during the regular season just are not there in the first round of the playoffs. And so that's the avenue forward for them, is just like, hey, let's all be adults and actually study for once for the test and see how that goes. And usually it works out in their favor.
How many people we still have in line?
Couple right here.
Great. We'll finish up with these two questions.
And then we have two sets of lower level tickets for the upcoming games coming up here. So
I know you guys kind of touched on this on one of the previous questions, but more specifically, Io. I know he's clicked very well with a lot of the bench players like Bones and whatnot. But what would you guys think about Io fitting into the starting lineup, replacing like Dante this season, even going into next season too?
Very natural question. A lot of people are thinking about it. I'm not ruling it out. What I would also say is, and what I've written at The Athletic, is Dante DiVincenzo really likes to start. And that is something that you do have to factor in when you're thinking about the political maneuvers that you make around a team and how does a player stay locked in. There's a reason that Chris Finch rarely publicly criticizes Julius Randle, because he knows that if he does, it does not get the reaction that he wants. It actually goes the other way. If Dante were to be moved to the second unit, I think that Dante would not be as completely locked in as you would want him to be, or at least you would be really disappointed. And you can say what you want about he needs to be a team player, he needs to just do what's best for the team, but that's not how this works in the NBA.
Especially in this league, yeah.
And so to make that move, it would have to be like really understanding that everyone is on board with it, and maybe Dante would get on board with it. But right now, he finds real value in being a part of that starting lineup. And I know he hasn't shot well all the time, but he has played great defensively. He is always the guy that is kind of making the hustle play that gets things started for them in the other way. And so I think it would not be received well if they did that. But if desperate times call for desperate measures, you do it. So,
two more questions.
All right, guys. So I'm going to say something that sounds kind of heretical.
Oh, boy.
But against the Celtics, Ant is out, Randall's on the bench, and their ball movement and movement off the ball was the best I've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. So how do we integrate Ant and Randall and yet keep the ball movement that was so good and made us such a potent offense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something like when they've looked their worst is when Ant and Randall are isolation, dribble, get a late shot. I do believe that, first of all, Randall wants to pass the ball. And I think that sometimes when he gets into isolation, he doesn't think he's going to get another crack at a shot, and so I better take it now. Ant is a guy who learns by watching, not by talking and, hey, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. No, look and see what's in front of you and put that into practice. And so if you want to be an optimist about it, when he comes back, he will have seen how effective it is when that ball moves. But also he's coming back to a team where Jaden is in more of a flow, Randall is in more of a flow. You have Dosunmu and Dante and Bones all clicking. And so I think that when Ant puts it on his shoulders, it's more of like, I need to do this because no one else is doing it. But he's seen that all these other guys can do it now. And so maybe he will come in and make the plays. We saw him do it against the Lakers in the first round last year. He is capable of making that happen, but sometimes he just wants to have too much ownership of it. So it is going to be a delicate process reincorporating him for sure. But I think him looking and seeing and watching all of this in front of his face probably helps at least make that possible going forward.
Last question of the show. The man's been in line so long he had to order a pizza.
Thoughts on Scott Foster, past, present, and future with the Wolves?
I think he needs his own podcast. Then he'd have a place he could talk.
It is like, I mean, it's funny. You talk to like people in the league, and they fully acknowledge that game to game, largely, Foster gets more calls right than most lead officials do. But there is also this element of him that just has to be part of the show. And I thought that the Houston game was egregious with like the amount of missed calls. And that's not just for the Wolves. The Rockets missed a bunch for the Rockets as well. And the way that he interacts with the players, the way that he tries to make it about himself, I think is bad for the league. I think it fuels the fire for fans who believe that there is a thumb on the scale one way or the other. And even if that's not the case with Scott, it looks that way. And so it was unfortunate on Wednesday night all the way around. I mean, the ejection of Naz Reid, the call of Şengün charge where he was clearly moving. He does not, the dirty little secret is like Scott Foster does not like to overturn his own calls if they go to review. It's really hard to do. So when that stuff happens, like there's so much baggage around him that we're almost reaching a point of diminishing returns. But he's going to keep running out there, and you're going to see him again in the playoffs. The Wolves have won in the playoffs when he's been an official and lost. So it's probably healthiest for fans to try to not concentrate on that. But unfortunately, he's going to interject himself into the action because that's what he does.
He is very photogenic.
Very photogenic, absolutely. He's still in great shape for the age that he is.
Yes,
so.
he'll tell you that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you to everybody. We're going to give away some tickets now. Once again, thanks to Headflyer Brewing. Thanks to everyone who showed up. Give yourselves a hand, please.